And we are live. Welcome to another edition of the Curtain Call podcast on this day, Friday, March 15th, 2024. We hope that you all have had a awesome, wonderful week, a week of nonstop craziness in the world of professional wrestling. That's our world. So welcome to the Curtain Call podcast. I'm your boy, the Spanish Fly, always with me, the best tag team partner one can have. Nacho, let them know what's going on.
What's up, everyone?
Just like I like it. Nacho's a man of few words, but that's all right.
Short and sweet to the point.
There it is. He's the brains of this tag team, and I'm that crazy mouthpiece. But you know what, Nacho, we've had a crazy week of professional wrestling. Now, last week we didn't get to make a video. Some things were happening. We weren't able to get on. I'm glad we're back on today. We got some things to talk about. So obviously we do reviews. We like to review over the SmackDowns and the Raws and the AEW and the NXTs and stuff like that. But today we're going to be doing a little something different. And before we get into that, we have to talk about something really cool. And it's this day in wrestling history. Nacho, how did you like it the last time we did it?
I thought it was fun. I thought it was a nice little segment. Definitely taught me some things.
Cool. Well, this week, I want to be able to do, I want to keep it in the 90s era theme, to that extent. So what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way back to 1999. 1999, it was a Monday Night Raw on this day, on the 15th. And we got new tag team champions that night. Any wild guess who those new tag team champions could have been in 1999? I'll tell you who they beat. They beat Val Venus and Billy Gunn.
Not a clue. I don't know. I've never heard of Val Venus, but I do know Billy Gunn.
I'm sorry. So. I almost gave it away. Val Venus and Hardcore Holly.
Okay. Still nothing.
So they won their first tag titles, and it was the New Age Outlaws, the Road Dogg Jesse James, the Bad Beat Billy Gunn. And it's one of those things that no matter how many years have passed, if you grew up in that time period of the Attitude Era, watching the New Age Outlaws, you know everything that they were going to say. Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody. It was something that was deafening, especially when you went to the live events. Road Dogg was just so good. It's me, it's that D-O-double-G. And I'm working with the B double cricket letter. It was just he was so good. He was so good at doing that. The way he would come out, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I mean, it's something it stuck with you. The last tag team that I feel had that kind of energy was Enzo and Cass. My name is Enzo Amore, and I'm a bona fide G and a bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. That night after WrestleMania, that was amazing. But that happened in 1999. The New Age Outlaws became the tag team champions for the first time. In 1998, though, WCW had an uncensored a pay-per-view called Uncensored in Mobile, Alabama. And this was pretty cool because Booker T defeated this other wrestler to retain the WCW World Television Championship. The wrestler he beat is a Hall of Famer, is loved by many, and is very missed. Who do you think that wrestler could be? And that's the last one that we're doing for this show.
Booker T, very missed, very loved. I'm drawing a blank. I'm not as familiar with that era. That's the
But you
so I've
know,
been watching.
I think you're gonna know this wrestler because they reference him a lot. Number one,
I feel like I'm gonna punch myself for this one.
he has family that wrestles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, comes from a wrestling family. And I'm not going to tell you.
I'm gonna throw a name out. I could be in the wrong era, but my guess is gonna be Eddie.
Viva la raza, Eddie Guerrero. So Booker T defeated Eddie Guerrero to retain the WCW Television Championship. Hey, Nacho, you got one, buddy. You got one. You got one, and that's all that matters is that you got one. So now let's get into what we came to do, Nacho. You know how we do it all the time. We're gonna go over a little bit of everything, but we're gonna take our time in focusing on one particular topic today. So for those of you that were coming to watch the Raw review, look, we know you watched Raw. You probably want to hear what we think, our opinion of it. But today we're going to do something a little bit different because I think it's an important topic that we want to get into. But the first thing we are going to do is I'm going to throw it to Nacho because we're going to start off with that crazy gauntlet match that happened on Monday Night Raw, Nacho.
All right. If you know anything about me, you know I am the biggest Chad Gable fan. I'm also a pretty big fan of a couple of the other members that were in this match. So going into this, I was leaning towards Chad Gable for who would actually win, who I wanted to win, but it was hard for me to choose between some of my other favorites. So I was torn going into this match, and really the way that I went into this match was depending on the order. When I see who comes in at what order is going to tell me what story they're trying to tell. Unfortunately, we'll get into it. It was not the story I was looking for. But to start off the match, we had Ricochet and JD McDonough as the two openers. And let me just tell you, when I first saw that JD McDonough was in this match, I didn't expect anything from him. I assumed he'd be the first person out. Although
why was he even in there though? Is my question. But go ahead.
In there because the Judgment Day threw him in there to get back at Gunther. Okay, but they put on a show. I think they had the longest pod of any of the other groups.
Yes.
They put on a show. They were both. I feel like it wasn't one-sided either. They were both entertaining the crowd. The crowd was up. This is the main event of the show. It's been about 2.5 hours. The crowd was alive for this match, just for these two to begin with. And I was right there with them because I went into this particular pod with zero expectations, and they bumped it up to at least a 6 or a 7 for me.
It was very, very good. It was a very good match. I was not a fan of the fact that that JD was in there.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of, to be honest with you, it kind of bothered me that he was in there. But so I kind of already had negative views on this when he came out. I kind of threw away the match in my head. I already knew JD's not winning this, so whatever. But they shocked me because they did put on a good match. And when the match, I don't know if you felt the same way, Nacho, but when that particular pod finished, it made me feel like, oh man, this gauntlet is going to be good. Because now each wrestler is thinking, okay, I got to back that up. I got to back this up. And the crowd was super into it, Nacho. They were so into it. And I was excited for the next go. I said, all right, here we go. I guess we're really in it. And he put on a good match. I gotta give it to him. So yeah, that's how I felt about that, man.
Yep. Then so Ricochet took the win on that one. And right away we have Bronson Reed come marching down that alleyway.
That's a big boy.
Big Bronson Reed is one of my favorites as well. I don't know how you feel about him, but I love Big Bronson Reed. And I love the promotions they've been doing with him. He always comes in the back with his suit. He's got the shades on. As soon as it's time for him to wrestle, he is an animal. I was excited for Bronson, especially because he didn't get to go to Elimination Chamber. I was excited to see him get a little bit of a moment to try.
Congratulations on that baby too.
Yep. That's as good of a reason as you can get to not have to go to. Or to
it,
not get to
it really is. It really is.
What did you think about this pod of Ricochet and Bronson Reed?
I think whenever you put Bronson Reed up against Ricochet, because we've seen it before. But I just love the way Ricochet takes bumps when it's against Bronson Reed. It makes him look so much bigger than he actually is. I love the way Bronson Reed, the way he moves for a big guy. I love it. It. And that's all I'm going to say about this match, because there's one more point I want to make, but it's on that, I believe, the next one. So go ahead.
So following this, Bronson took the W, and all of a sudden we hear Sami Zayn's theme song hit. And at this point, going to this match, I wanted Chad Gable to win. And I thought that if they're going to have him win, if they want him to prove himself and really, really run the gauntlet and show why he deserves this more than everybody else, put him in first. He wasn't first. So then I'm like, he's got to be midpoint. And when I saw that Sami Zayn came out instead, immediately we have an exercise ball in the basement. I was hugging the exercise ball, rocking back and forth because I was so stressed out at this point in this match. I'm usually taking notes on these episodes so I have some talking points. There were no notes taken on this match because I could not. I was so zoned in and just I was just waiting to hear the sheesh hit, and it wasn't hitting yet. But Sami is another one of my favorites, especially when I first started, was really at the peak of the Sami Zayn Bloodline era. Going into Mania for them to win the tag belts. So he's always been one of my favorites that I keep pretty close to my heart as well. I always think of him as like the hometown hero. He's just this average guy that can last with all these legends, which I think he's still a legend himself. But I thought overall they did mention this also put some red flags, tingle my spider senses a little bit. They dropped that he is Muslim and he had not drank any water or eaten any food before this. And immediately for me, that also was, oh gosh, that is a proving point for him.
Yeah, when Nacho, when they said that, first of all, I was shocked that they mentioned that.
Yep.
Not in a bad way, but it kind of feels good because if Vince was in charge, that would have never been brought up.
No.
And look, I'm not here to tell you guys what religion to follow or nothing like that. I will tell you I am a believer. I'm a Christian. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm upset that they said he was Muslim. No, is that they never have acknowledged that. They've never acknowledged that for any wrestler. So when they acknowledged that, I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Why? Because I am sure there is probably a young Muslim kid or a Syrian, I believe he's from Syria, his nationality, that's watching Raw, that probably lives here in the States, that's watching Raw, and can look at Sami Zayn and say, hey, I can still have my belief, my faith, and still be a professional wrestler. And I think that's amazing when you make the wrestlers more like us, where we can find ourselves in them. The match was great. When they did say two things, when Sami Zayn's music hit, I was like, because this whole time, you know that I was with you. I needed Chad Gable to win. It was right there for Chad Gable. This was his, especially when they gave the video packages. If you notice, Nacho, his was the first one. It was the longest one, and it was the one that pulled on my heartstrings.
Yeah.
You know? So, and then when they mentioned the fact that he's Muslim, and because he's in their praying season, that he hasn't had any food or water, and he could be dehydrated, or he's a little sluggish because of that. I said to myself, are they giving Sami Zayn an out? He lost because, but then I quickly said, no, that wouldn't make any sense, because there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, you guys are saying that he lost because he's Muslim and he was praying. So I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. But I like the story that they're going with it. But I'll tell you when it made sense to me. Go right ahead.
Okay. So it was a solid match. Sami ends up beating Bronson. And as soon as Shinsuke's music hits, first off, I'm thinking, so Chad is last. Which I don't know. I feel like if they're giving Chad the win, that's too easy of a win for him for the story they've been telling. Also, Bronson doesn't even skip a beat. Sami's looking at the enter. No, Sami was on the ground because he had just pinned him. Bronson gets up, runs over, gets up on the top rope and hits him with a full-on tsunami. After he's been eliminated, he wanted vengeance for that one. So Sami's already at a disadvantage because he hasn't drank any water. He hasn't had any food. And then he gets hit with an extra tsunami after already wrestling a full match. What's going on here? What story are they telling?
Yeah, so check this out. When he hit the tsunami, first of all, the best.
Oh.
I will argue with anyone. No one can tell me that their splash off the top ropes, any wrestler at any generation in any history of professional wrestling is better than Bronson and Reed's. And I told you this before, Nacho, when he gets on the top rope, the reason why it looks so heavy and powerful is that if you notice, he doesn't stand on both feet on the top ropes and jumps off like somebody would typically do. He puts his foot on the first rope, the second rope. He puts one foot on the third rope and pushes off while that second foot is on that second rope. And it makes it look like he's just really, and he's always coming at an angle. It's never really flat on. It's always at an angle. And it looks so impactful, When he did that, I right away thought of, ooh, he ain't drink nothing. He got them ribs. Shinsuke's coming out now. Guess what? I really started thinking Gable's going to win it. Even though I thought it would be horrible for Chad Gable to come out last. But I said, they're going to give it to Shinsuke and let Shinsuke beat the bricks out of, because Shinsuke will have an easy win over Sami. Sami's beat up. Maybe this is Sami's WrestleMania match. Yep. Big Bronson Reed. Yep. And I said, so Shinsuke will give him a Kinshasa right away. 1, 2, 3. And Gable comes out. We'll go to commercial. They'll come back and have a good 15-minute match. Shinsuke beating up Gable. Gable beats Shinsuke, and it's all over with. Yeah. So what happened, Nacho?
So Sami gets up. You could tell he's hurting after that. He keeps going. finishes out his match. He actually takes the win from Shinsuke, which I do want to get your input on this. Have you noticed that Shinsuke has not spit for a minute? We haven't seen the mist for a minute.
Which is good.
Since Cody.
Which is good because I don't want that to be overplayed.
That's fair. That's fair.
I want it to when he does it, it's meaningful. I don't want to see it every week because then if you see it every week, it dies out. It's almost like in AEW when Penta says cero miedo. I hate that he does it 5, 6, 7 times in a match because it doesn't mean nothing. To me, I like it when the way he used to do it, which he'll wrestle for about 6, 7 minutes, and on a comeback that he's giving, that now he's giving the punishment, and he gets hit a couple times and then he shakes it off and he looks at them and he goes, cero miedo. I think that's amazing. But when you say it 20 times in the first 5 minutes of the match, it does nothing for me. So I'm glad that we haven't seen the mist in a while. Go right ahead.
Yep. So Sami ends up taking the victory, and he is on the ground because he has used up all his energy. He has collapsed. Shinsuke leaves, and we hear, "Shoosh." No shoosh, please. Or no, did we even hear shoosh? I think it was just his music. They were keeping it full serious, and it was just his music. No shoosh, no gimmick. Gable comes marching down, gets in the ring, grabs Sami by the arm and says, "Get up. Get up. If this is going to be my WrestleMania moment, if this is going to be what gets me to WrestleMania, I don't want it to be an easy victory. I want you to give me your all. Because I don't want to shoe in." That, to me, I will say, kept the nervousness there because he's boosting Sami's ego at that point. He's giving Sami his energy to get up. The crowd is clapping. The crowd is cheering for both of them. And Sami stands up. And then we go to commercial.
Uh-huh.
And how did you feel going into that commercial break after seeing all the stuff that has come before this, and now Gable coming in last with Sami essentially gassed?
It was at that moment I knew Chad Gable wasn't going to win this match. It was that I kept fighting myself saying, no, Chad's going to win it. Chad's going to win it. He's going to win it. And there was a part of me that was not allowing me to be 100% on board. I felt that at that moment, I felt this was all for Sami. And I'm not going to lie to you. I love Sami Zayn. I really do. But I was like, not disappointed, not, I'm boycotting. But I was like, man, I wish Chad could get it, man. I wish he can get it. Go ahead.
At this point, I'm standing up. I'm no longer hugging the exercise ball. I'm standing up and I'm pacing. Well, as soon as we get back from commercial. And let me tell you, Gable delivered. In terms of the match itself, Gable was
Or did he?
He was doing flips. He had the ankle lock. Sami took him down with the ankle lock, tried to reverse it. He kept it on. I haven't seen any of the matches, but I heard it was very much a Kurt Angle moment. Kept it on for the full tumble and got back up with the ankle lock still going. I'm not gonna lie, I was unsure what was gonna happen at this point. I was so torn, and because these are two of my favorite wrestlers. These are two people that I don't want to root against, but I also want to see get their spot at Mania. So it was And I'll say, I mean, I'm still conflicted on this. I'll have to see what happens on Raw next week to really see if they even what they talk about with it. But this has been one of the most conflicting moments for me watching wrestling. So I'm going into the outcome of this match just like a whole mess, I'll say, because I didn't know what to think. Gable, he takes the shoulder straps off, the singlet, and his mouth is bleeding, and he screams, and the crowd is as live as they were at the beginning of this match, if not louder. Sami is back in the ankle lock for I don't even know how many, like, I don't even know if I can count how many times that happened. He's reaching for the rope. Can't quite get there. At the last second, boosts himself up, does a somersault with Chad, grabs Chad by the legs, holds him down. 1, 2, 3. Sami takes the win. Sami is going to WrestleMania. And it just makes me question why so much build up for Chad with so little for Sami. Not in the sense that Sami didn't have any build up to go to WrestleMania, but it just seems like Sami is in this to be there, not like he cares about what he's actually fighting for. He just wanted a spot on the card. And I've seen a lot of people giving Sami hate online to the point where I think it was Booker T mentioned on a podcast that he had been talking to him about it.
And that's what I wanted to read you exactly what Booker said. He said, I talked to Sami Zayn actually on Tuesday morning as we were flying to Orlando. We were sitting next to each other on the plane. And I swear the same thing like you just said. So many people were pulling for Chad Gable in that match. Sami said, man, what a match. Man, I said, what a match. You're going to look back on this day and say that was one of the most captivating matches that catapulted me to the next level. That was one that put the lights on me and let people see what I can do. He went on to say he was so literally upset the online heat that he got from the fans that I told him, man, you can't listen to that white noise. You got to think of how great that match was. But he still, like I said, he was feeling the heat. He was feeling basically upset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nacho, I don't want to. It sucks. It sucked. It really did. When he put him in that last ankle lock, I'm watching it with my sons, and I was literally yelling at the TV, fall back on it, so he could grab that ankle lock, put his legs around his leg, just fall back, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said, he's going to roll up. He's going to roll you up. He's going to roll you. Well, sure enough, he rolls him up. A couple things we could look at. Chad Gable's shoulders, were they down? They weren't pinned, actually. I mean, they were up.
Yeah.
Then Chad Gable pulls up Sami Zayn, and I was like, is this a heel turn? No.
Yeah, I was getting scared for that too. I was like, don't. I was looking at the TV. I was like, don't do something. Don't.
Yeah. You could look in the front row right when the referee hits 3. Look in the front row. Go back. If you have it recorded or if you go online to watch it, look at the front row. The whole front row is going. You could feel the gas. You could hear the gas leaving the fans. Yes, there were fans that were excited that Sami won. Sami is a phenomenal wrestler. I think he'll have a great match with Gunther. But you could feel everybody's pain for Chad Gable. And now I want to your question with the question. You said, why so much build for Chad Gable if you're going to do this? Let me take you back to last year, Nacho. You're sitting at home. You're watching WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes is fighting Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes loses to Roman Reigns by interference from Solo. How did you feel? I want to take you back. You watched the Royal Rumble that year, right? You watched the Royal Rumble that year.
I watched Mania that year too.
Okay, so you watch the Royal Rumble. You see Cody win the Rumble. He's gonna finish the story that he talked about when he showed up in the WWE. He's gonna finish it. He gets to WrestleMania night 2. You're ready. You got your popcorn ready to celebrate because he finished the story. And he loses to Roman Reigns because of Solo. How did it make you feel at that moment?
It hurt. I'd say that in this moment have been the most impactful on me so far.
And you know why the WWE does that? Because it was at that moment you became a bigger fan of Cody Rhodes.
True.
Because now, without a shadow of a doubt, you want Cody to finish the story. That's why the fans, instead of going berserk that The Rock is going to fight Roman Reigns, they boycotted and they said, no, we want Cody. Why? Because just like you, just like myself, we became even bigger fans of Cody Rhodes because he couldn't get it done. Because he got cheated out of it. And it's the same thing with Chad Gable. You've become a bigger fan of Chad Gable after Monday. And when he finally gets the opportunity to win that title and he wins it, it's going to be that much sweeter. That moment for you is going to be a lot more happier, more goosebumps all over your body because of the loss. So I don't know if they decide where they go from here. If it ends up being a triple threat match, which they can do. I don't know how they're going to do it. But one thing I will say, on August 3rd, in Cleveland, Ohio, you and I watching SummerSlam from Cleveland Brown Stadium. I wouldn't be upset to see Chad Gable win the Intercontinental Championship at that pay-per-view.
I'm going to tell you something. As soon as it went off there, my brother was watching with me because he's home for spring break. He goes, what are they doing? What is he not going to win it? And I said, SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio.
SummerSlam, baby. SummerSlam.
If not that, do you think
the summer of Gable? That's what it'll be.
If not that, do you think Gunther will retain until next WrestleMania?
You know what? I don't see why not.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Gunther has, you know how they say the title makes the person sometimes?
Yeah.
Gunther has made the title.
Definitely.
Gunther has made the title. And it'll be impossible for me to think that they're not going to give Gunther a shot at one of the bigger titles this upcoming year. Because he's just proven he's so good, man. Like everything. His promo, his look, his mannerism, his ring style. Everything he does, every move he does is not wasted. He's good, dude. Like,
yeah.
Dang, he's good. So I think it's going to be an exciting match. Gunther, Sami Zayn, WrestleMania. Will Sami go over? We don't know. We'll put our predictions on a later video, but that's going to be very, very interesting moving forward. What you got, Nacho?
I do want to close off on this. The fact that Chad Gable, who I'd say a lot of people back when Alpha Academy had the rivalry with the Viking Raiders to begin with, when they were first starting to introduce Maxine, say a lot of people, although they may have been fans of the Alpha Academy, they didn't see them as a threat. They didn't see them as someone who could headline WrestleMania or like headline Raw. The buildup that Chad Gable has had to be able to win people over so much that they turn on one of the most beloved characters, one of the most beloved people in WWE, I think says a lot. I think it also spoke a lot to WWE itself and how much he's won people over and how much this story means to people. The fact that they were able to turn on Sami Zayn that bad. And I think that also will fuel whenever he does get his eventual rematch. He said he's not going to beg for one. So I don't know what they're going to end up doing with him. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out, the fact that he was able to cause so much hate for one of the most beloved people because he had his moment taken away really surprised me and really showed me that a character that I've loved for so long that I don't think people took seriously for a while is becoming so much of a bigger name now. So, yeah.
Just want to mention real quick on the chat, we have Black Knight that says, can't wait for SummerSlam in Cleveland. And he also said Gunther versus Roman for the title. Title versus title. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. He's not the only person that has said he wants to see Gunther versus Roman title for title. Yeah. But Black Knight, not so fast. Not so fast. Nacho, let's get into it, man. We got something good right now.
All right. We are going to move into our next segment, talking about the Bloodline. What's been going on with the Bloodline? A little bit of the history of the Bloodline, where they could be going. So I'm gonna hand it off to you to start this one off.
So we got the Bloodline. It all started with Roman Reigns defeating the Fiend for the Universal Championship in the Thunderdome. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. And that's where we see the Fiend. He won his match. All of a sudden, as he turns around, Roman spears him, and they go off the air with Roman walking up the rampway. They end up having a match. Roman goes over and wins. And that's when the reign of the Tribal Chief starts. We've had all kind of things go on. Obviously, Jimmy and Jay join him to become part of the Bloodline after Jimmy had a crazy kind of feud with him. You know, while Jay had a crazy feud with him while Jimmy was out, and we get this Bloodline together, and now we have Roman, Jimmy, Jay Uso, and Paul Heyman as his mouthpiece. And boy, did they go on a tear, and boy, did they go on a run. Not only did Roman held both titles from both brands, you had his cousins, Jimmy and Jay Uso, holding both tag titles from both brands for a long time as well. They were untouchable. They were unstoppable. Then all of a sudden, everything started really filling in pieces when we show up to a match in 2022, which was September 3rd, 2022, at Clash at the Castle. It was in Wales, in a stadium. And after 34 minutes of a main event between your Universal Champion Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, and Drew McIntyre, who was super over there, we get an interference for the first time making his debut of Solo Sikoa. Solo interferes, costs Drew McIntyre the match. Roman continues on. Roman continued on. So we have now, Jimmy, we had Sami Zayn ended up joining them, being an honorary Uso. Great storyline moving with him. Jimmy and Jay solo with Paul Heyman. It takes us later on down. It takes us into other matches, War Games, when they finally all joined forces and they finally all accepted Sami Zayn, and it goes on to other things. And then you have Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, and them telling Sami hit Kevin with a chair, he hits Roman, and the story goes on from there. Sami coming so close to defeating Roman Reigns in Canada sets up Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens at WrestleMania last year, where they defeat the Usos, take the titles away from the Usos. Now the Usos have no titles. There's starting to be a rip in the bloodline a little bit. Cody doesn't get the job done. He doesn't finish the story. Roman continues on, defending the title every now and again, winning outside interference, and carrying on, passing other wrestlers of length of time with the title. Then this year happens, and The Rock shows up. We all know Cody passes it to The Rock. The fans backlash at it. They go ahead. Cody gets right back in the mix. Now we end up getting Seth involved, and now we got a tag team match between Roman and Rock, Cody and Seth, night one at WrestleMania. It's very simple. If Cody and Seth wins, night two at WrestleMania, it'll just be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. No outside interference, no bloodline. They're banned from the building. If Roman and Rock wins, man, it's Samoan rules. Everybody from the bloodline will be at ringside to do everything possible to cost Cody the match again. So this is where I want to get to. In this whole entire feud, who has been the one person of the past 2 months, I'd say, that hasn't really stood out in this feud until maybe last week, the week before? And Nacho, to me, that's Roman Reigns. The Rock has literally come in and has genuinely stolen the spotlight from Roman Reigns. He's literally have made people forget about Roman Reigns. Now The Rock comes in and he gives 40-minute promos, half-hour promos, and The Rock's just standing there with the titles. I mean, Roman's just standing there with the titles, not saying a word. Roman comes out first. And then The Rock's music hits and The Rock comes out. He's even main eventing the walkouts. The first time Roman slaps Cody, as they're leaving the arena, who's following who? Roman's following The Rock.
Yep.
And then finally, Finally, we get Roman Reigns standing up. And what does he do? The Rock goes, if you smell, and he stops him. He tells him, I need something from you. I need you to acknowledge me. It was right then and there I realized why they've had Roman stay quiet the whole time. Because when he finally spoke, it wasn't to speak to Roman to say, hey, thank you for standing up for me as family. Mm-hmm. It wasn't for any of that. It was for him to tell The Rock, I need you to acknowledge me. That's all great what you're doing. What you're doing is great. The way you just turned your back on them, on the fans, talking about the fans everywhere we go, calling them Cody crybabies, calling them crackheads, meth addicts, all those different things that you've been saying. That's great. But I need you to acknowledge me. Because the fact still remains, I am that guy. The Rock acknowledges him. But then there's something that I saw. You see, I'm kind of crazy, Nacho. I go back and I watch wrestling. I go back and when things happen, I pause the TV or pause it if I'm watching on my phone to see reactions, facial expressions. And all the time that The Rock talks, Roman Reigns is always with that look on his face. That bad, I'm the man. I'm staying here like this. I'm the man.
Like brushing off his shoulder.
Just standing there. I'm the tribal chief. I'm Mount Rushmore. I'm the GOAT. I'm the one. The Rock says, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. They shake. Roman pulls him in. The Rock pulls Roman in. Go back and watch it. Roman didn't pull The Rock in. The Rock pulls Roman in. Embraces Roman. And then you pause it right there. And Roman's face goes from, yeah, I'm the one, to all of a sudden, The Rock hugged me. He acknowledged me. I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I'm not going to go too far out of it. When I saw that, I said, Cody's finishing his story night 2. Cody's winning this at WrestleMania. If I was a betting man, I would bet everything I had. Cody's winning at WrestleMania. Number 1. Number 2, The Rock is going to turn on Roman. It's all set up for The Rock to turn on Roman.
Yep.
Instead of pointing to putting the L up and bringing it back and going it back and bringing it back, it's all set up for The Rock to turn on Roman. Now, here's the thing. The Rock can quickly turn on Roman and be a babyface and not the heel. He could even go on to say, you know what, Cody? I apologize that I did what I did to you. I apologize to the fans, but the only way I can get into Roman and break up this bloodline that he's done, the way he's treated our family, the way he's tried to cause division in our family, was for me to get infiltrated so much into it that he thought I was a member. He could easily do that, and it'll change the whole story dynamic. But when Roman changed his facial expressions from knowing he was the one, knowing he's the GOAT, knowing he's the top dog, pun intended, to all of a sudden melting like if his Like if his dad had hugged him. Like if he was needing a hug from his father and his father hugged him and he finally says, my dad really does love me. That look on his face told me everything that I needed to know of where this story is going. Cody, everybody that's watching or that will watch this, I will be the first one to come on this podcast the night of WrestleMania 2, because when WrestleMania Night 2 finishes, Night 1 and Night 2, we're doing recap videos, live recap videos right there. We're going right into it. I'll be the first one on this podcast to admit I was completely wrong. But Cody's finishing this story at Night 2. Cody's finishing this story at Night 2. If it was me writing this, if I were writing the story, I always said no one should lay, because I think that Cody and Seth loses at Night 1. I think Cody and Seth lose Night 1. That way, all the bloodline could be there. So when Cody wins, they say, "Oh my goodness, everything was thrown at Cody, and he overcame everything." There's a part of me that I'll get into another show that thinks Seth might do something a little wonky, but I'm still analyzing that because Seth has to make sure that he doesn't, because he's the babyface going into Night 2 against Drew.
Yep.
But if I was the one writing it, Roman and Rock win Night 1. They go into Night 2. All of the bloodline is there. All the bloodlines there. Everything is it. And what happens? Cody fights them all off. And when Roman is expecting The Rock to do what he said he was going to do, stop Cody Rhodes at any means necessary, you see The Rock just stop, smile at Roman. Roman turns around, walks right into the crossroads. Cody gets him right back up, gives him another crossroad, right back up, gives him a third crossroad, and Cody finishes the story. The Rock walks up the ramp laughing at Roman. Cody celebrates. Cody's walking up the ramp. Have The Rock come back out. Eyeball Cody face to face. Smile at Cody. Cody smiles back at The Rock. And The Rock raises up Cody's hands. It was all a swerve. They got into Roman's head. It can set something up for Rock and Roman later on. Black Knight asks, does Priest cash in to make Cody's champ, make his championship like his dad's? So I guess what he's saying is, does Damian Priest cash in his briefcase to make Cody's victory look like Dusty's victory that he didn't get the belt? And I think we'll get into that another day, Black Knight. But I actually think that he's going to cash in on the Seth match.
Yeah,
I think he's cashing in on Seth's match. I think they're keeping CM Punk completely away from the title that's on SmackDown. They're going to have Cody over there. They'll have Drew and Damian battle it out a couple times while Seth goes ahead and gets fixed up. And we might get to see CM Punk at SummerSlam against a champ of Drew McIntyre. Who knows? Who knows? They left that window open for us. But I think that's how this story is going to play out. Obviously, I hope that I'm completely wrong. Why? Because I love being caught off guard in wrestling. But because I've been watching it for over 30 years of watching wrestling, I've seen so many scenarios play out. And I could play different scenarios in my head. But one thing that I know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, is Cody is winning this title night 2 at WrestleMania. There's no doubt in my mind. So it's something, to me, it's something that we look, man, I don't care what anybody else got to say. You're not going to convince me that Cody is not going to finish this story. Because if he does not finish this story, the past 2 years have been a waste. Nacho, he's only been pinned in the past 2 years 2 times.
Yep.
And the losses have been due to outside interference. Cody is undefeated, basically, man. Yep. Are you kidding me? You're not going to have him finish this story? What are you waiting for?
Exactly.
Look, man, Cody Rhodes is super over. Super over. But if Cody doesn't finish this story, Cody Rhodes will not be in the main event picture much longer, because there is a man returning by the name of CM Punk. And it doesn't matter how old CM Punk is. There is not a wrestler right now that is as over as CM Punk. CM Punk's going to run right past Cody Rhodes. And if you want to make sure that both your brands moving forward to Netflix, you want to make sure that the most eyes are on it, which is CM Punk and Cody Rhodes.
Yep.
If Roman leaves for 6 months to a year, I'm not going to miss him. Why? Because he's hardly ever there now.
Yep.
So to me, the year, 2-year reign of 3-year reign or whatever it may be, to me, it's not as impressive as Hulk Hogan's reign. Why? Because Hulk Hogan had to defend the title every 30 days. That was the rules. And we all know that Brock Lesnar changed the rules on that, defending the title every 3 months or wherever we had a solar eclipse.
Yeah.
So it's got to be that way, Nacho. That's my take on this. What else you got to add? Real quick before you go, yo, Black Knight, thank you very much for the subscribe, man. I appreciate you. Make sure you click on that notification bell. Every time we make a video, every time we go live, you're going to be right there with us. Much love to you from myself, the Spanish Fly, my tag team partner, Nacho. We appreciate you very much. Make sure you share the video. Tell your friends about us, man. We're just 2 guys giving our opinions. And you know what? We love what we do. We love watching wrestling. Nacho, what do you think about all this, man?
I think I'm surprised that Cody was able to build up as much momentum as he has after losing last year, because I will say for the first half of the year, going from Mania to Mania at least, I feel like the momentum halted.
Yeah, it did.
Until he had the tag team with Jay, I feel like Cody was a little lost. He was showing up here and there, and they didn't really start going after each other in terms of Cody and Roman until around the Rumble. There wasn't really much talk.
They've kept them separate. Absolutely.
Yeah. They haven't really had much back and forth with each other from show to show. So the amount of buildup that he's had in this short amount of time, I think it's mostly motivated by the Cody movement that happened when The Rock did show up. That really fueled the fire with like 10 cans of gasoline. But if he loses this time, I don't think he's going to be able to build that fire back up, at least not as strong as it is now. And I don't know if people are going to be entertained with Roman or even the Bloodline storyline for another year at the rate it's going, because just as stale as Cody Rhodes got, the Bloodline got really stale for a while too. You had John Cena showing up to try to hype up Solo and build him up, and what has Solo done after that? Nothing.
Hasn't done anything. I got a question for you, Nacho.
He's lost.
I got a question for you. I got a question for you. You said that that momentum died out for Cody. So this is a two-part question.
Yeah.
The momentum died out for Cody Rhodes, and then they kept him away until finally the Rumble comes around. Okay. Would you have preferred that since the night after WrestleMania when Cody lost, that for the next 12 months, all he did was go after Roman, telling Roman, I'm going to come, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Because the reason why I asked that, well, answer that.
No, but I would have liked at least something. Because I feel like, at least like a face-to-face. Because I feel like he mentioned that he wanted to finish his story still, but there was nothing directly to Roman. There was no,
okay.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because, which the second part question, Black Knight wants to know, Nacho, are you going to the Columbus Toy Show?
I don't know. Maybe. I'll see.
Hey, I love Black Knight's questions, man. He Nacho, he knows you, man. All right, check this out. Check this out. The reason I'm asking is this. How do I put this? I love the fact that he didn't see Roman at all. Because check this out. Just hear me out for a second. Let's play it in our heads real quick. Let me rewind some back for you. Check this out. So we see the next night on Raw, Cody's like, you jumped in, you interfered, cost me the match. You know what? I want you guys now. I'm gonna finish the story. I won't be able to finish it tonight. I want to fight you again, but I want both of you. Brock Lesnar comes out, takes Cody into a different feud, right? Roman slides out. Oh, I ain't got nothing to do with this. And he leaves. We don't see Cody and Roman, right? We don't see Cody and Roman. He has the summer feud with Brock. Then they bring out that new title. And what happens? He ends up falling into a tag team championship match and ends up being a tag team champion, right? But when he won the Royal Rumble, this last Royal Rumble, who does he point at? He pointed at Roman. And it made, at that moment, you know how I felt? It felt like, I ain't talked to you all year, but I don't want you to forget. I remember what you did. And you may have forgotten. Some people may have forgotten, but I ain't forget what you did. I'm coming after you. It's no secret where I'm going. I'm showing up on SmackDown, and I'm telling you, I'm coming at you. Bruh, that made me feel like, it made me feel some kind of special. Now, yeah, go ahead.
So, the Raw after that, Cody said, I think it was SmackDown when he brought The Rock out. He said, I'm coming for you. I'm taking everything from you, just not at WrestleMania. Do you think they're still sticking with that? Because that has been something that's been tripping me up still, too. Because I don't know why he said not at WrestleMania.
I don't think they're sticking with that because the whole point was for Roman to fight Rock. But they had to backtrack on stuff.
Okay.
They have to backtrack on stuff. When Cody Rhodes says last Monday, I won't be able to give the title to my father, but I'll be able to give it to my mother. Woo!
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the Bloodline's going to pull all stops.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to pull all stops. To answer your question, yes, Zilla Fatu might show up. He might show up on night one to make sure that the Bloodline get the victory over them. We might see newer members. We might. And I hope it does happen. You know why? Because can you imagine for a moment Roman loses the title and the bloodline's falling apart and Solo becomes the new tribal chief?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Solo, because he's a new tribal chief, you know what he does? He repairs the family. He goes back and gets his brother Jimmy and Jay together after they had a banger match on night number 1. And says, no, you guys belong together. He gets Umaga's son, who's out there doing his thing. He gets Eddie Fatu. He gets these guys, man.
Kishi.
It could happen.
Yep.
It could happen. But I think the story ends in Cody's favor night number 2.
It's gotta.
And I think the bloodline is going to need a blood transfusion night number 2, because I think they can still run with this bloodline thing for a while by using The Rock. But because we all know The Rock ain't sticking around that long.
Yep.
He's got movies that he's got to get ready for. Even though he's on the board of directors, he's got movies he got coming out and stuff like that. You know what, man? He ain't sticking around long. So the wheels on this bloodline storyline, I think, is already coming to an end. I think all that happens. All that happens April 7th, night number 2 in Philadelphia at WrestleMania. What you got, Notch?
I don't know. I feel like the Bloodline storyline has been one of the greatest, if not the greatest story WWE has
Absolutely.
told.
Absolutely.
And I'm really curious to see, as someone who wasn't exposed to the WWE pre-Bloodline, what the WWE looks like after the Bloodline. I think that's going to be
That's a good point.
I think that'll be a fun topic for another video to see what we think could come after this.
That's a good point, but there's something I want to be able to throw back at you.
Hit me.
There's whenever you take a piece out the puzzle, in order for you to keep the momentum, you have to add something equal of value or more for it to continue moving forward.
Okay.
If you take the bloodline storyline and you pull it back where it's not the prominent storyline no more, Roman's gone for a few months. They pull this back. What are we going to put in its place? You don't think CM Punk and Seth Rollins in a feud for 5-6 months would take that place?
Or Drew.
Or Drew McIntyre?
Drew's been hot on the mic. I'd love to see him go back and forth with CM Punk.
Hey,
again.
Nacho, Black Knight just said something very key. Listen to what he says. He says, the bloodline story is what we should have gotten in the NWO. You are so absolutely right. Nacho, if you remember the NWO, or if you go back and watch the NWO storyline was the greatest thing in professional wrestling up until that point. There was nothing better than it. You got to understand, this is coming from a guy whose favorite wrestler, who is on Mount Rushmore. It's not even called Mount Rushmore. It should be called Mount Hogan. Is Hulk Hogan. Why? Because in the 80s, when they took that survey, Hulk Hogan was more recognized around the world than freaking Santa Claus. It was Hulk Hogan, Ronald McDonald, and Santa Claus. Look it up. 1987 survey.
Yeah, brother.
So when Hogan turns heel and starts the New World Order with the Outsiders, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, It was the greatest thing ever. And then they started adding a couple guys here and there.
On the competitor's company too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody that was
Macho
joining
Man.
were former WWF guys, WWE guys. And they started getting them in. And they started bringing them in. And then all of a sudden, they started to feud, huge feud with Sting. You would see Sting in the Raptors. For a whole year, Sting didn't wrestle, Nacho. The camera just kept showing him his crow-like face in the Raptors. A whole year, he didn't wrestle. And when he finally zip-lined down into the middle of the ring and pulled that bat out of his thing and started whacking everybody, the storyline was amazing. But you know what happened, Nacho? It went from the NWO to the LWO to the BWO to the Wolfpack Black and Red. And it was like everybody and their mama was a member of the NWO. At one point, I think the top number was 84, if you include the men from New Japan. It was the most ridiculous thing ever. Now everybody was being a part of the NWO. And it became washed up. And it became really obnoxious. And it made no more sense. And it was ridiculous. And the wheels just fell off of it. And WCW just started tanking hard. And it's the same thing that will happen to the Bloodline if they do not pull the trigger before it's too late. It's better that you pull it when it's still at the top than if you pull it when it's down below.
Yep.
And if you notice, they did the same thing with the Undisputed Era. The Undisputed Era was pulled before it finally hit, crashed, and burned. They pulled that early. So they have to be able to do something. They have to be able to change trajectories of where this storyline's going. That's why I feel that it has to end. It has to end night 2 at WrestleMania. If you want to move forward, change the name of what it is. Change the name of the Bloodline until something else, because they want no association with Roman. You want to send Roman away for 6 months, bring him back as a babyface? Hey, man, it might work. It might work. But I'm just telling you, right now, a true wrestling fan, true wrestling fans, as soon as Cody showed up to WWE, and as soon as Punk showed up to WWE, Roman already dropped a couple notches.
Mm-hmm.
He's only relevant because he still has the title, and he's still undefeated in I don't know how many days. But in the pecking order right now, a hurt CM Punk is still pulling more. Nacho, when have you ever seen a wrestler that is legitimately injured, that is going to be out for a little while, is advertised to make an appearance at a Monday Night Raw?
Punk.
CM Punk is advertised to be in Chicago.
Yeah.
You don't see that.
No.
You don't see that because WWE knows who is drawing the money.
Yep.
And CM Punk is proven that he sells out. The biggest numbers AEW did was the times that CM Punk was part of their roster. When CM Punk went away, when he got fired, let go, whatever you want to call it, AEW's numbers have not been the same.
Did you know this? For SmackDown, which member of the Bloodline do they advertise to sell out?
What was that?
With SmackDown now, when they announce a member of the Bloodline, exactly.
It ain't Roman. It ain't Roman. And yes, Bullet Club was definitely over. Bullet Club was over, but unfortunately, more people were into the Bullet Club outside the U.S. than in the US. And by the time it was over in the US, it was already breaking up.
Yep.
So, Nacho, good stuff, baby. This is going to be interesting moving forward.
I'm excited. I'm happy to be in Mania season. I love this, except for the Chad Gable left one. But I'm excited for everything else.
Yeah. He says, Black Knight says, will Punk being promoted, advertised in Chicago, you're guaranteed butts and seats? Absolutely. Look, man, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that at one point, I was a big AEW fan, a humongous AEW fan. I loved everything about AEW. Watched their first pay-per-view before it was even AEW. I loved AEW. You could tell when Tony Khan took over, things started changing. When Cody took a back seat from me, when they basically put him in the back seat of what Cody was doing, promoting, being the booker, it just became different. And then when Cody left, you really started seeing changes a lot. And AEW, to me, has become WCW of the end of WCW's life. And I'm not the biggest fan of AEW at the moment. I watch AEW. I'm not the biggest fan. There isn't anything that AEW really has done that has made me go, wow. Not even with the signing of Mercedes Moné. It hasn't done much for me. We've gone over their pay-per-view. We've given our reviews. There is nothing in AEW that can compare to the storyline of the Bloodline.
No.
It's the greatest story being told in professional wrestling today. And it's the greatest story being told ever in professional wrestling. Period.
Yep.
Period. But I think, just like the title, this is the end game for the Bloodline. I think we're on the final stretch, and it all comes crashing down. It all comes crashing down. Night number 2 at WrestleMania. Nacho, anything else for me, baby?
Not on this topic. I think we pretty much covered it.
It was good. It felt good getting this off our chest.
It did. It felt good to get to talk after last week.
I know. It felt so good. Felt so good to get this off my chest. I've been holding it in for a while. Holding it in. But hey Nacho, we got something special lined up for Sunday, don't we?
Oh yeah. So the plan is we are going to try something different on this channel. We might still do the episode reviews here and there. We're going to do pay-per-view reviews still, at least, and predictions as we did before. But we're going to try to do something a little different where on these live episodes, we want to try to tackle like 1 or 2 topics so we can go fully in depth on them, not run as long, and still get to actually talk about the topics we want to talk about more in depth and get to spend a little bit more time on them. But we want to get more content out to you guys. So we are going to start recording videos that will go up on the channel under the videos section. So you can find these videos right now on the live feed section. You'll find the other videos on the videos section where we're going to tackle one specific topic and talk about it for a little bit. And yeah, it will just be another way for us to get to talk about wrestling. It won't be as involved with the crowd, but you could still comment and leave all your different opinions. And if you agree with us or what you think about the topic in the comments below, and we'll be able to respond to you that way.
Absolutely. And I'm excited about doing these videos like that because we can edit it and play with them, add different features and stuff like that, show clips going into it. But we're going to continue doing the lives. We'll be doing lives at least once a week. We don't want to stop doing lives because I actually enjoy doing it. I know Nacho enjoys doing it. We are getting people that are watching it on an average watch time of the whole entire show. So we're not going to stop doing lives. We are definitely, remember, I want you guys to hear me. We are not stopping the lives. We're going to be doing lives. We're going to be doing lives on pay-per-views. We're going to be going live the night the after night 1 of WrestleMania, we're going live. After night 2 of WrestleMania, we're going live. And if we speak for 2 or 3 hours, we're going in it, Nacho, because we're going to have a lot to talk about, a lot to get into, and I'm super excited. We might be even doing the live together. We might set something up where we get to do it afterwards together, or go to my favorite coffee shop the next morning. Who knows? We're going to be doing something, though, and I'm excited about doing it. So we're not going to stop doing the lives. We're definitely going to continue doing them. We just want to be able to do some other videos as well. That way you can be able to watch it, and we can be able to constantly be throwing out content, different topics, different things. We want to talk about tag teams. We want to talk about the women's division. We're going to be doing all kind of stuff. We're also going to be making little short videos. Maybe our top 5 women of 2023 or something like that. We're going to be doing a lot of different things. But we also would like to get you guys' feedbacks. Those of you that are watching now, if there's a topic that you want to hear our opinion on. Remember, we're just 2 guys who love professional wrestling. So, you could disagree with our opinions, and that's fine. It's just our opinions on what we feel at the moment. And if there's a topic that you guys want us to talk about, if there's a topic that you guys want us to discuss, or hear our feedback on, please let us know. If you see something on Monday Night Raw and you're like, oh my God, I wonder if the Spanish Fly, well, I'm wondering if Nacho saw that. Hey, you can tweet us. You can X us right there. And Nacho will be giving all our X information, our social media account. Hey, you can DM us. You can do whatever. And we also want to do something. We're gonna do something really soon. But eventually, what we would like to do is maybe once a month, bring one of you, the viewers, one of you guys, to join the live with us and go on the show with us to debate some topics. We want to be able to do all these things. We got so much stuff planned for you guys, but we truly, truly appreciate everything you guys do. Nacho, you want to hit them with the social media stuff, man?
We are on Twitter or X at CCPodOfficial. Stay tuned. I was going to make a TikTok, but with all the news of the TikTok ban might be happening, we might have one of those soon. I'll update you all in the next video, and I'm going to be working on getting an Instagram. It'll be the same handle as the Twitter, so there's no confusion, and I'll have those linked in the bio of our YouTube channel and in the comments below.
Absolutely. You can also go to our Facebook page, which is the Curtain Call Podcast. You can go ahead and check us out there. We're going to be putting up more information. We're going to be more active on social media. Me being an old dude, man, I really don't get on social media all like that, but I know I got to. And I'm going to be doing some stuff. But we're excited about what we're going to be doing forward. So, Nacho, you have any last remarks?
I don't think I have any. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to be back. So
yes, man, it feels good to be back.
Yep, I hope everybody else is excited, and I'm glad we had some people in the comments tonight too. It was good to be able to talk to people.
Yeah, man, a lot of comments. Shout out to Black Knight. Yo, thank you very much for joining the family here at the Curtain Call Podcast. Like I said, we truly appreciate it. And to all of you that are watching, those of them that might catch this video later on, if you like what you heard, if you like what you saw, don't look at our looks. We're not talking about that. But if you like what you saw, man, all you got to do is just follow us, man. Just click on that subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell, so that way every time we do new content, it be coming out. I guarantee you, if something pops off, who knows? We might do something tomorrow. We might do something tomorrow. That's the way we roll here. We just like to make sure that we're doing everything possible to be able to give you guys maybe if it is for an hour, escape whatever it is that you might be going through. escape any negativity in this world and just escape into the world of professional wrestling and join us for an hour, because that's what wrestling does. It escapes us from everything else. And that being said, man, if there's anything you guys are going through, just want to know, let you know, keep your head up. That too shall pass, and there's brighter days coming. So just remember, like I said, here at the Curtain Call Podcast, click on that notification bell, subscribe to us. We appreciate all the love and support that we get from you guys. And how do we do it again? Oh, yeah. If you got it, throw it up and too sweet me, baby. And remember that here at the Curtain Call Podcast, woo, we always kick out at 2. See you, Nacho. Let's go.